Welcome to Political Paradigm. I'm Terry Ikumi. Well, in the spirit of Democracy Day, the conversation continues 5 days after. Last week on the program, I had a conversation with one of the Northern Elders, a former spokesperson of the Northern Elders Forum, Dr. Hakeem Ahmed, and we spoke about democracy from the Northern perspective. Quite a lot was said, and you can catch that on YouTube by searching Political Paradigm or go to channelstv.com. Today, we'll go to the Southeast and hear what the people of the Southeast think about Nigeria's democracy. The history of Nigeria's democracy cannot be told without the Southeast. And I'm joined by two federal lawmakers from the House of Representatives from the Southeast. Honorable Afamogene is from Anambra State, and Honorable Chinedu is from Ebonyi State. Welcome to Political Paradigm, gentlemen.
My pleasure to be here.
Good
afternoon.
You know, this is democracy. I wish I could tell you all the things that Dr. Hakeem Ahmed said, so you understand his perspective as a Northerner. But let's narrow it down to the Southeast. And I dare say from conversations that I followed since June 12, that the celebration in the Southeast was rather low-key. So it would be nice to get your perspective as Southerners on what your thoughts are on Nigeria's democracy. Let me start with Honorable Gene.
Well, thank you once again, and good afternoon, viewers. Talking about democracy, the current generation of Southeasterners, talking about the post-war generation, which is 55 years since the end of the war. In all spheres, a lot of them have only known marginalization. And so they have long given up on too much of expectations of what the government or even the whole essence of democracy could do for them, because they are not known to be competing on an even scale with their counterparts from other parts of the country. Is it in secondary school admission processes? If you have to enter the unity schools as somebody candidate from the Southeast, somebody from Anambra will be expected to score 139 marks for male, and female maybe 134. And yet in the same country, same classroom, you see people from other parts of the country scoring as low as below 40 marks to enable them gain admission for the same institution. And it goes all the way down. Is it in federal employment? Is it even in recruitment into the security services? All the way down, they've been known to stand for themselves. And so I think it has gotten into their psyche that they have to do a lot more for themselves. So for them, Democracy Day, June 12th, was just another day in another year.
Okay. Oga, do you share the same view?
No, I deviate from that. I deviate from that in the sense that, first of all, a Southeastern is super high intelligent. We believe in competition, and that competition have inspired us more and more. In the other aspect of the Northerners giving the provision of the admission, yes, in some of the universities, they do that. But when you come to the aspect of making sure they accommodate their brothers, they do more than most of our people that have claimed position. Because most of these people that have grown today in different positions in politics today are employed by their people when they have that opportunity. And I stand here to say that most of our people have reached that apex. What did they do? Who did they employ? That today would have engaged others. So, irrespective of the war, yes, that war made the Southeastern for us to work hard and put us to where we are today. That made us to have most of the credible governance we have in the Southeast today, who is following the apex of what the people want in the Southeast. And that is why when you see, you find out the governance here in the Southeast is different from others because they do what the people want. It's only the Southeastern you will see an individual who will come to construct a road with his own personal money because he knows what is good for the people, for those people to believe the dividends of the people, of the masses. So And the only way we are feeling more of the dividends of democracy now and celebrating the democracy now is because of the governance we have in the 5 eastern states. To be very, very pragmatic and plain, the 5 governors, irrespective they are not in the same state, they are doing perfectly well.
Okay, so we'll come to that, but I just want to touch on what you said. When you say that you disagree with what Honorable Famogene said, I like to think that some of the things you said aligned with what he said. Yeah. But so I'm going to ask you directly.
Yeah.
Are the people of the Southeast enjoying Nigeria's democracy?
We're partially enjoying it because we are seeing some aspect of dividends of democracy coming up now, unlike as it were before. We are enjoying because we see ongoing construction in some major road. But there is some aspect that we are being neglected. The aspect of port, we have some port which that the federal government is supposed to open in order to decongest the Lagos port. And when such a thing done, it will still help the Southeastern to enjoy the dividends of democracy. And equally, giving more position to Southeastern. Such more position will still align us to enjoy dividends of democracy. And that is the aspect we are looking at. And the aspect I differ from him is that when he made mention of a kind of negligence, no, there is some negligence that caused by an individual, not by government.
Well, there are statistics that show that over time, the Southeast has been deprived of leadership at state levels as well. Poor governance in the Southeast. And then there's the argument of the level of inclusion the Southeast has enjoyed at the federal level as well. So I think Honorable Ogene could speak to that.
Well, in your initial question, you talked about democracy, using June 12 as peg. And I don't think that we in the Southeast will run a different form of democracy. It's one country. So I was talking about the federal port. What is in need for the Southeast, and do they actually get what should be theirs from that port? I have several instances that I could cite, but my brother's position, like you said, goes to reinforce what I've said. If he's talking about the governors working for their people, this is about what they are elected to do, work for their people. But in terms of the federal structure, there are issues that are germane that bind the entire 5 states of the Southeast. For instance, how come out of the 3 regions that began Nigeria, later 4, the Southeast has remained with 5 states? This has only been put on the agenda at the Constitutional Conference convened by former President Jonathan, and it was agreed to, even though the report of that confab was not implemented. Now, 26 years down the line, is still kept in abeyance. I'll give you another quick example. 55 years after the Civil War ended on, the 3 R's. And the reconstruction we've kept talking about, just at the point where we started talking about a Southeast Development Commission, all other zones came in. But just the mere issue of Boko Haram that came to the Northeast, they had a Northeast Development Commission within 10 years. Now that the Southeast started clamoring for a development commission to take care of regional integration, you can see that all other zones had to also get, even if they do not fall into the category of people for special needs.
So 2 things. Maybe you might want to take back what you said about the Boko Haram, because you described it as a mere issue.
No. I was talking about the time. I said within a 10-year space, they got a commission.
No, it's the mere issue.
No, not mere. It's not mere. I was looking at the time frame.
Okay, fair
as
enough.
Against something that had been hanging in the balance since 1970, and we couldn't get that.
So it's also your position that the proliferation of other development commissions downplays the importance of the Southeast Development Commission.
Of course, and even as we have gotten it, I know for sure that there has not been any funding for it. So the commission is even yet to take off.
While we speak about the country's history and democracy, I want you to address those who say that Nigeria's democratic history is tied to the Southeast in a somewhat negative way, with regard to how the Southeast has always clamored for secession, one of which led to the Biafran War, and up till now is the same issue. So those who say that the Southeast wants so much from this democracy, but they want to still break away from this democracy, how do you address that?
Well, for those people who tie what we don't get to agitations for self-determination, I don't think it's fair enough. It's like your child crying that you denied him or her of biscuit. I don't think that the answer should be to even beat the child further. The answer should be look for what the issue is and address it. So if those issues that we are talking about are addressed, how do you think that those agitations will fester? Take, for instance, we also had a Sunday Igboho in this country. Even at Asari Dokubo, who wields AK-47 in the open, and people seeing him. Nnamdi Kanu, I have never seen him pictured or videoed with a gun. But these issues were solved politically. So why can't the Nnamdi issue be solved politically? And I dare say that if it is solved politically, it reduces immediately the agitations in the Southeast while we begin to address other hanging issues.
All right, Honorable Oga, do you agree with that particular issue with regard to Nnamdi
There is
Kanu?
aspect.
And also, what other aspects do you think that should be addressed?
The aspect I want to speak on before going to address the issue made mention of is about the additional state in the Southeast. I'm aware, I'm in a live television, that during Buhari tenure, he called the 5 Eastern governors. You people should go and agree and give me one state. Let me create additional states in the Southeast. And our governors in that time could not agree. That is our problem. Every other person we are struggling, let it be created in his own part. And we could not agree for us to give a particular place for that state to be located and the capital. That is what made us to lose it during the Buhari tenure. Most of the problem is something we need to solve within ourselves. And as a legislature, I cannot come here to speak on the case before the court of law. It's against the ethics and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I believe our leaders in the Southeast are doing something. And we continue appealing to the president. Let him look at it and solve the problem politically. So it's not something I can come here to deliberate, but it's something that if it's solved, it will really cool the tension of the Southeastern, especially the youth. It will help to develop and bring more development. So that is the aspect. But the truth of it is that, to be very frank, I have to commend the effort of the people of the Southeastern. In any place they are, they always stand to defend and project what they are known for. And if we go by each of the 36 states, including FCT, the most place you have a tangible development today is a Southeastern state. Irrespective that is where you have the low and the little allocation.
What sort of development is that?
For example, let me use a case study in Ebonyi State. Today I can stand to speak that in infrastructure, the governor of Ebonyi State, French Sogboni and Wifuru, have completed 1,900 kilometers of road. Today, 300 students of Ebonyi people are in the scholarship in overseas, fully paid by the state. There is a chain reaction of these 300 people, feeding of their family and other things in abroad. 750 people paid in the whole national in the country. That is the aspect of education. He is doing 22 classrooms, 3 per each local government. We have 13 local government in Ebonyi State. A medical doctor today in Ebonyi State are paid 500,000, making them to do their work than thinking to fly out of the country. So there is a lot that the governor, you come to the aspect of Enugu, you see the infrastructure, educational, and so many things that are going. You go down to Imo State, you see the same thing. You go down to Abia, you see the same thing. This is only the Southeastern. Anambra the same thing. Yes, Anambra the same thing. It's only the Southeastern you see the governors moving on the street, the people are just clamoring, greeting them because of what they're doing. So the extent of it is I have to thank God because Southeastern is blessed in leaders.
Well, it's interesting to hear you say that because over time, the narrative has been that the Southeast has been cursed with bad leaders. I don't know if Honorable Ogene agrees with you with regard to the development in the Southeast as you claim. You've mentioned the Southeastern states and talked about how development has begun to thrive in those states. Do you agree with him on that?
Well, before I go into that, when you made mention of former President Buhari and the need to create an additional state for the Southeast, they say fear the Greeks, even if they bear gifts. Another one says, rich gives wax poor when givers prove a kind. How can a sitting president of a country, knowing the lopsidedness of the different regions and deciding within himself to correct that anomaly, just on the excuse that the 5 governors could not agree, and that truncated the process? If indeed the Nigerian government at the time wanted to do it, he could set up a federal a committee to go and look at all the agitations and come up with 1 or 2, which at the center they could decide on. So it goes back to what I'm saying, that when there is a need to give a due to the Southeast, they find reasons why that cannot be done.
So you don't fault the fact that the governors could not come up with a position?
Well, I'm not privy to that information, but I'm saying that if the governors, it's a contestation. If the governors could not come up, a third man is like the referee, could come up and with a committee in place of technocrats who have the National Boundaries Commission and all of that, they could be saddled with making suggestions, which, of course, I'm sure that everybody will agree with at the end of the day.
Let me interject, my brother.
No, let him land. Let him land.
So at the end of the day, even states that we are created, yes, we are in a democracy, but we know that nobody is going back to the military era where they were created by fiat. And with all that mistakes, we lived with it. So in a democracy, you can also use the democratic structures to get a state created. It's votes, and if they vote, the one that takes the day would have, been created. So that goes to even justify what I'm saying, that in the federal port, the issues that concerns the Southeast are never treated on the same pedestal as those that concern the other.
Okay, let me allow Honorable Oga respond to what you said, because I want to ask you about
the
that
aspect
development.
is that I want him to note that the president have a power when it is a military president that worked under decree. This is a constitutional matter. A constitutional matter that creation of the state governor, the House of Assembly, the National Assembly need to be involved. It is the decision of the state governors with the House of Assembly to agree and submit the same to the president for approval. We are in National Assembly. In your place, there is now a bill for creation of more local government. There is some that most of us did that some people from that place now come to say they don't want that local government. Even that some creation of the local government state. In Anoma, some people are coming to say that they don't want the creation of such state. And that is the problem. For us to agree what we particularly want.
Is it difficult?
How many executive bills have failed in the National Assembly? Couldn't it come as an executive bill?
But would it
and
not
then
be,
we'll go ahead
you have
and
lawmakers from different states in that assembly.
Yeah.
If, for example, they do not support that bill, how's it going to go through?
The same way that executive bills pass is the same lobbying that would take place.
Is that not for the agitation?
Excuse me, no.
Are you saying that people in the Southeast don't want an additional state?
But the question is where, and that brings the question to the unity
then votes
in the
will be take place, and the one that carries the day goes.
I want to ask you a question.
That's what I'm saying.
Do you think that the president should have ignored the political leadership in the states and gone ahead to create a state wherever he felt was needed?
Let me
what would
tell
they have
you,
done?
if all our 5 state governors today come together with the state assembly, with all the House of Rep, and agree
on where the state should be created,
the state is going to stand, the president will listen.
Do you agree?
That is it.
That is not the be-all and end-all of it. State creation is a constitutional matter.
That is what I'm telling you.
So even if we agree, we need the buy-in of everybody in the assemblies and the state assemblies. So it's not as easy as us just agreeing. But if there is the political will, like I stated, just the same way that take the tax bills, it came and then even governors and different segments of society didn't want it. But when something is placed before the assembly, if it is lobbying, if it's canvassing, whatever processes, you can do it and get it done. So if we really want it, or if the president then wanted it, it could come as an executive bill, and I am sure that it would have passed one way or the other.
Okay, fair enough. Let's look at the issue of development in the Southeast. You say that development is beginning to show up in the Southeast. I don't know if Honorable Ogene agrees, because he also fears that the Southeast needs more than what the governors are doing, that the Southeast needs a federal presence, federal recognition.
Yeah, I agree with my brother, because in the Southeast, there is something they say on the streets, Gosim Kamfunaya, show me so that I can see. Our voters and our people like to feel and touch democracy at work. And it has to do with infrastructure. What have you done? So if the governors, as he has stated, are working, it is what they were elected to do in the first place. And every governor, every state gets money to do some of those projects. But my remit here is, I don't praise a man for paying salaries, for instance. Where anybody else sitting in that position is only to sign off on the papers, and the salaries will get paid. Not minding that some others, through wrong priorities, have at one time or the other also, neglected to do that. And that is why in Nigerian democracy, it seems as if paying salary. In my state, there was a governor that was nicknamed Alert Governor. For me, that wasn't a democracy dividend. Every laborer is what he's hired. But the point remains, the port, the federal port for us, are we getting our fair share? And I dare say that we do not.
What do you expect?
I expect a lot more infrastructural development. Talk about the Rail Master Plan. That Rail Master Plan was developed by the last administration, and the Southeast was clearly out of it. But with recent agitations, when the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, went to Anambra, he mentioned that, the Southeast will be included. Plans, you knew that we had regional capitals, just like some others. So why would the train bypass the Southeast? And we have to. These other people didn't, go to television to talk about it. So those are the kind of projects that I think that being spearheaded by the center should be equitably shared. What are the major roads in the Southeast, and how many of them are even done? Remember that when it got to the turn of the second Niger Bridge, that was the first time Nigeria started talking, after demolishing the idea of step down to it's stopping at Oba. So, and we have talked and talked about, meanwhile, we go to dig virgin lands to say we are creating new coastal roads. The existing roads, have we fixed them?
You don't think the coastal road is of importance?
It could be of importance, but some other things are of more importance. People have network of roads that they're applying on now. Those roads have to be in tip-top shape before we start thinking of creating some other.
My brother, to be very frank, when the budget in 2025 came up in the National Assembly, the president presented it. I was the person that raised it on the floor for mission of the Southeastern in a light rain. I bring it under the point of order in the Constitution, point of order, which the House listened to me. And immediately the Mr. Speaker and the leadership conveyed the message to the president And the president called the ministry and we are captured. That was what he made pronunciation when he went for official visit. So the truth of it is that, let us speak the truth. Really, we are seeing development in the southeast. On before, Onitsha, Anambra, Onitsha, Enugu Highway is unpassable. But now, today, you can pass. Now, based on what the dividends of democracy we are seeing is reducing gradually.
So that is a direct question.
Yes.
Is it enough to stop the agitations in the southeast?
But the truth of it is that we still need more.
What does
But
it mean?
if we are saying that the government we are today, the government of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu is not performing, that is lie. He have a competent ministers. Most of them are from southeast. The minister.
Most of them.
Huh?
Most of them.
Most of the ministers are from the
just
southeast.
have one per state.
Excuse me. That is why I'm saying each of the states have a representative. The Minister of Works made everything possible to. So many of the roads are included. For example, a new construction of a brand new road linking the bridge of Cross River to Ebonyi State, the other one linking Anambra, the other one linking Nnewi, are under construction as I speak to you. So there is so many infrastructure and so many of the governors connected to that. As I speak to you, will always be a death trap. In Emene, they already completed the flyover. The bridge that collapsed, if it is there, it will stay almost about getting to 4 years before everyone look at it. They already completed it. In Enugu, Lekki, Port Harcourt. The road for Port Harcourt, Enugu, Aba Expressway is almost 90% completion. We're always talking of Ogoni, the road there linking the Niger Delta. You see now is now that those roads is seeing the light of the day. The truth of it is that if whether this government is doing well, yes, it's doing well, but we need more in the southeast. We need more infrastructure. We need more creation of the ports authority in southeast, in which some ship will be dropping there, so that they can decongest Lagos. There is port in One, there is port in Calabar, there is port in Onitsha. If all those places are being reactivated,
where should a port be in the southeast?
Onitsha. There is a port in Onitsha. So and there is a port in Owerri, in Hope's Odima's place. If all those places are dredged, it will help to generate more revenue, and it will open up the southeast. So I want to say that in infrastructure, our governors in the southeast, and I want to bring to your notice, check it in your record, it's only the southeastern governors that does not have their children in abroad. Because they believe in the masses, they do what the masses want, they want their children to feel the impact.
Son is abroad.
Listen, I know what I'm telling you. Like my governor, his children is in Abakaliki, schooling there. Do you understand me? Enugu State, the one I know. So what I'm telling you all those things is that to see the people that have been elected.
But are you speaking authoritatively on that?
Very sure. I'm speaking sure, not just that authoritative. I'm sure of what I'm saying.
Okay, so with their children not being abroad for education, I think that's what you mean specifically.
Yeah, with that it will help us to put our education to the fix.
It's not. It will help. Has that helped so far?
Yes, it have helped.
Okay, so let me get Honorable Afam's take on that. If indeed the governors are living up to expectation, especially in the aspect of education, which he just touched on.
Well, I may not have the statistics to put all the governors on the table and begin to look at their scorecards. But essentially, I think that what this discourse is about the fate of the Southeasterners, especially our youth demography, in the whole idea of democracy. And I dare say that the mere fact that Section 14, Sub 3 of the Constitution talks about running a federal state premise, you will see that there is no leveler, there is no equity. Is it in terms of ministerial appointments, of appointments to heads of government departments and agencies? Is it in terms of opening the doors for the civil service, for people to be able to get employed without knowing anybody. All these are non-existent. And until we begin to give vent to those provisions of the Constitution, then the youth might not be compelled to have faith in democracy. Democracy presupposes that the law is a leveler. Everybody should go into any contest based on merit. I admit that you might have some affirmative actions in one or two places, but that should not be the dominant way to go. That is only, something to show up and encourage all others. But today in Nigeria, nobody gets their due, be it in terms of secondary school admission, to unity schools, to federal universities, to the civil service, to the security forces, to the paramilitary. Nobody just gets any employment or any placement on the basis of merit. And I don't think that that is a democratic norm.
Absolutely. This is a rot that's been in the system for a while. Well, let's stay with the Southeast now and look at what progress has been made. Yes, the argument that over time, the Southeast has felt excluded still persists. But just like Honorable Oga has said, is there progress being made? Or are you holding on to what has always existed? There are those who have said that in the areas of appointment, that there's been some improvement. There are those who have also said that, like him, that for infrastructure, there's been an improvement. I know that former governor of Ebonyi State, who is now the Minister of Works, had said that all the people of the Southeast are going to align with the president because he's been fair to them. I don't know if you agree to that, but also the president has also ignored Parliament, which rejected on the call to honor Professor Humphrey Nwosu, and has gone ahead to honor Professor Humphrey Nwosu. Do you think that progress has been made?
Well, in giving honors to people who participated in the June 12 struggle, I know you cannot catch everybody in the net, but even at that, Professor Humphrey Nwosu was not the only person who got honored. Yeah, if you look at the list, I'll give you one typical example. Kunle Ajibade, our colleague, was jailed for life. George Mba of then Insider magazine was jailed for life. Kunle got a national award. George Mba didn't get a mention. And it also goes even the Nadeko flank. I know how many Igbo men were part of the 49 people who signed the Nadeko document. How many of them were recognized? But I don't want to dwell on that. The man who has the knife and the yam distributes as he wishes. So that is not there. When you talk about appointments, I wonder what appointments you are talking about. Because what we have in the Southeast is one minister per state. Other zones have extra ministers. So I don't think there is equity in that. It's a constitutional mandate that you must get one minister per state, and that's all we got. We didn't get.
But that's not all the only appointments the president has made.
The Southeast did not get more than any other zone.
No, not more.
If you want to say that the appointments, have been elevated, then we should have something at par with the other zones.
Honorable Oga.
Yeah, in the aspect of the appointment, to be very frank, the minister nominated by each state in Southeast are doing perfectly well. They're doing perfectly well. And to be very frank, I'm a politician. We, the Southeastern, did not support APC. But it's a constitutional matter that each state must nominate a minister. Now we have realized, based on what Mr. President is doing, some of us that we are campaigning for them then, that we should support this government. But the truth of it is that I'm happy that some of our leaders, like him today, have believed that yes, the new hope have come to stay, that they're really having the hope of the masses. And in the aspect of the Southeast, we really need much to be done. We need so much infrastructure, so much educational infrastructure, so much technical infrastructure, and human infrastructure. And we need more appointment from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the Southeast, because we know what we passed through to support and elect him. For example, when you check the federal medical centers, there's some states in Southeast that have no federal medical centers. You should look towards that. We know some states in the West have two. You should look at it. That's things that will balance. Thank God yesterday we saw signing of a bill for establishment of Federal Medical Science University in Abia State and the other one in Okigwe and the College of Education. Yes! Because it will create job opportunity and it will now create human capital development. What we are looking at is that let the president look and make sure there is a tangible thing that is going to be done in the Southeast, in which the Southeastern will see and look at. Let us be frank.
Well, okay. Let me just bring this up on the issue of security. What will the president do, or what do you think the state governors can do to address the sit-at-home issue in the Southeast? The initial conversation was that Nnamdi Kanu was tied to it. He's dissociated himself from that. And what we hear now is whether he's released or not, it will not stop the sit-at-home situation in the Southeast. So what can be done to address that?
Let me tell you, most of these things you people hear, most of you hear is most of them are Facebook. I'm from Ebonyi State. I wish you have your reporter in Ebonyi State. In Ebonyi State, there is nothing like sit down at home. Security is not about the chief of army staff, this and it's about collective effort. Even as a National Assembly member, I from a constituency, I should be able to speak to my people in my constituency the need why we should. Such a thing is bringing our economy backwardness. So the asset of it is that each of the governor, for example, the governor of Enugu State have done, look at Ebonyi State, each Monday banks open. It is the duty of all of us to join hand and support the security agent. We should not left everything on the hand of the security agent. If now a DP or commissioner of police are posted from Sokoto to Ebonyi State that does not anywhere, how do you operate without collective effort of the stakeholders? What I'm looking at is that we base more on theoretical education. Let us go back to our culture. Let us go back to our agriculture, in which most of this youth will be engaged. There's so many idle youth. It's because of the idle youth that create all these insecurities. If, for example,
you think it's idleness? You think that the sit-at-home
if they have some, if anybody, for example, now you are working in this studio and seeing all these your cameramen, everybody wake up very early for 7 o'clock to be here to do their duty. Can such a person talk of crime?
So that, no, I'm specific about the sit-at-home situation.
Yeah, that is what I'm telling. So I'm bringing that idea. It's because some people have nothing doing. If so many of them have something doing, nobody will think of it.
Is that a federal government problem or the state governors?
The federal government have to create an enabling environment. The state have to join. It's not only federal government. Even we, National Assembly, have to do our own part by making a law that conducive that will provide the social amenity to the people.
Okay, so let me get Honorable Ogane's thoughts on the sit-at-home.
Well, the sit-at-home, I think that sheer criminality has crept into the matter. It is not based on any agitation. You know, initially you asked about the Southeasterners, agitating for self-governance or whatever. But as it is today, at any time the security forces lay hands on anybody who tries, to strike on those days, you discover that it's not based on any ideology. These are pure criminals who are out there trying to eke out a living through the wrong means. But having said that, I also want to point out that the political leadership in the Southeast have largely failed. Why do I say so? We have 6 regions in Nigeria, 26 years and counting from 1999. Every other zone has held the position of president or vice president, minus the Southeast. A lot of the problems comes from within the Southeast. Look at Mr. P. In a few months, look at the number of votes he was able to galvanize, making young ones, not just in the Southeast, but across the Federation, to believe in the ballot. Even though that surge was halted midway when their expectations were dashed, since the elections had something called a glitch, which has not been investigated or explained till this date. We just hear a glitch. Nobody can explain what that glitch represents. So I think it is time for the political leadership in the Southeast to be strategic about their negotiations for power. A lot of them, he talked about renewed hope. What are you going into the renewed hope for? If you don't negotiate, you don't get anything. What did they negotiate? What position are we going for in 2027? What position are we going for in 2031? This is the way other regions go.
Do you think there should be negotiations for 2027?
Why not? We're a people, we're a region. What is best for us? I'm not advocating that everybody must be in one boat, but at least there are strategic regional interests that must be put on the table. If it is this block, if you are going to support Mr. A, this and these are the critical issues we want addressed. If you are supporting Mr. B, this and these are things that we want. These are what the other zones do. Some of them have held president twice, vice president.
What sort of negotiations can be held ahead of 2027 now? Because the agitation initially was for a southerner to take over. And the Nigerian tradition, I dare say that, is that it's region by region, Southwest will do their 8 years, then we'll go back and all that and come. Do you think
Is that what it is?
It is.
No, that's not what it is. Obasanjo did 8 years. So how come it came back to the South and
the
same region?
Southeast should go for the president in 2027?
Why not? It's still South. What I know is a South-North divide. So it's still South. Okay. The Southeast is in pole position to go for the presidency.
Explain pole position.
Because we are the only zone that have not gotten either number one or number two.
Okay, let me hear from Honorable.
Thank you. I have to diffuse most of his opinion as a matter of the political party. One, it is the duty of the political party to nominate each of the candidates, which they know that is credible to win election in other zone. And to be very frank, this government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu have really failed well for Southeast. We have a deputy speaker. He's here as my brother. The road, the federal road crossing his constituency, ongoing. The Niger Bridge, we could not complete it before, but it's already completed. Even what he made mention about stepping down the road in his constituency in Obaro is being put in intervention. As I speak, things as a lawmaker we need to investigate. So what we need in a government is specifying, appealing. We have the deputy speaker. We have other people. And I have to stand here to say that we are lucky now that irrespective of the party, both Labour Party, both APUGA, both PDP, both APC are all working together for the benefit of the Southeastern states. That is one thing we all benefit. For example now, do we have any other approval of the federal universities or other colleges in each of the zones before now? In Southeast, no. But due to when we had a committee, a summit, and we made a memo who you are among, and the memo submit to the president where most of these things need to be put in place in the Southeast. Mr. President looked into it, and implementation started. What we should look is that what you have done is okay, but we need more.
Well, what position should the Southeast target for 2027?
2027. The truth of it is that we have our leaders, and they are meeting what they are looking at. But what we are looking at as a Southeastern, that if the Senate President is not coming, because we know too well that APC as it stands now will likely feed our president for second time. And we are looking at the speakership should come to the Southeast, while the Senate President should go to North, or the Senate President should come to Southeast. So that is what we are looking at. We would have succeeded in getting it before now. But there was a course that made it. That's why it could not happen.
So you think that for 2027, this conversation of president or vice president should be shelved?
The truth of it is this: for us to equity balance, there is no how the president will come from South and the vice president will come from the South. We have the constitution.
No, yeah, so the Southeast specifically.
We'll do what?
I know you are APC.
No,
I know you
He has
support-
been in politics.
I know.
So since 1999, how come your region has not produced either a president or vice president?
That's a fair question.
And I want to ask you, what happened to the primary that was conducted in Jos, where Alex Ekweme is supposed to be a candidate? Who are those people that fall that made Alex Ekweme could not win the primary? Is there our people?
Which people?
The Igbos.
How?
Look at it. Go and check the history.
What's the history you have?
The history, people that sabotaged it, that made him he could not win.
Who sabotaged it?
Let's not go to that aspect. What we are talking now is the truth of it is that let us follow the sequential of what is going on. After Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we can appeal to the Northerners. Let the president come from the Southeast from 2031.
You can appeal
You
to the
can
northern.
appeal.
Yes, because
After 8 years
politics
in
is
the-
not appealing. It's not something you can come and say you can do it alone. The vote of the Southeastern cannot give us a president. The vote of the Northwest cannot give them a president.
Yes.
You have to join other zones for you to become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And you must have up to 21% in each of the 36 states, according to the Constitution.
So why has this not produced a president or vice president since 1999? Like you said?
No, what I'm telling you is that there's no somebody then. In 1999, when Jonathan was from the South, there's no how you still bring a vice president from. And after Jonathan, you bring Yaradua. And the Yaradua bring Yaradua bring a Jonathan, which from South. So after then, Jonathan came up. When the Jonathan finishes, that was the time the Buhari came up. And I want to tell you, do you know Buhari went to appeal to Wozoke, who's from his place to be his deputy?
That's even too far. In
Listen, I want to give you a
2019,
record.
P2B was vice presidential candidate.
Excuse me, let me land.
The opposition
Mr.
came from
President-
Ebonyi and Enugu states.
Mr. President,
So he's right in saying that some of our people.
because
so
most of
the-
the people in Anambra does not value any other person from other Southeastern.
What does
How?
that mean? How?
They don't take us that we are part of the Southeastern. They believe everything is about them. That is the truth.
So that's why you don't want a president or vice
it's
from
not
the
so.
region.
So-
Bola Ahmed Tinubu will finish his second tenure. When he looks, then if it is the time of the South, yes.
Based on what you're saying,
Yes.
how easy or otherwise would it be if, for example, 2031 comes for the Southeast to agree on a candidate that they would support across party lines? I say this because I remember when Peter Obi emerged as vice presidential candidate of Atiku.
Yeah.
The main opposition he received was from his people. So it pointed to the lack of unity of the Southeast. And if this continues, the fear is that the Southeast would never be united enough to agree on a common front.
No. We agree because the set of the leaders we have now. The set of the leader we have now is working with the people in the grassroots. They seek the opinion of the masses. I want to use a case study about our governor. First time in history, a governor that always meet with his National Assembly members to get opinion on how development will move in the state.
No, this is beyond one state. We're talking
No,
about
I said a case study. In the five
I
states,
need
the
to-
same applicable in Enugu. So now we have a leader who will stand to speak and bring the opinion of Southeastern.
Okay.
They will join hand with the ministers
Let me-
and other people in the government, including my brother here.
Let's bring in your brother.
Well, even though our discourse is localized in the Southeast, I want to say that the Southeast, we are not going to wait until 2031. In fact, we are not even looking at just a good and better Southeast. We are looking at a Nigeria that will work for everybody. And P2B effectively presents that dream that would be if he becomes president.
Will he
So
get the support of the Southeastern?
When
he
we
does,
have the
Obasanjo
greater number-
didn't get the
when-
support
when
of
we
the
get the
Southwest
greater
and
number of
became
people that decamped our party,
and
they
became
come to speak
no,
that
it's
day.
not about that.
No, you
Obasanjo
wait
did
till
not
after
get the
2031.
support of the Southwest, yet became president. So it's been done before and it will be done again. In fact, only 2 years ago, you saw the wave. And that wave,
But that wave, that wave is diminishing. Already.
No,
He's
no,
pointing out
no.
to
At
the
the
number
time,
of
at the time of that wave, how many councillors were with Mr. P2B?
Well,
at the time of that wave,
at the time, it was the beginning of the wave.
And the wave will keep rolling. That's why it's a wave.
Well, he's in conversations
There's nothing
now.
that
There are conversations suggesting coalition. In fact,
now we even have more people that didn't agree in the north that
agree. Why is it that they are unable to feed a good candidate in Anambra governorship election? Where they are coming from?
What do you mean a good candidate?
You should even think.
When you go to election, you have a good candidate.
No, you have a candidate.
What
you have
do
a
you
candidate.
mean? When you go to election, you know who is a good
Labour Party
candidate.
come up there and win.
But I can tell you that P2B is in a better position than he was. We are talking now about Nigeria, not Southeast.
But what I'm saying is this. This is not the right time for Southeastern for the presidency.
When is the right time?
For over 26 years. If we do this, we jeopardize our own chances when the time reach.
Which chances?
Let us allow President Bola Tinubu to finish his 8 years.
Then it goes north.
Then we'll now discuss with the Northerners. The Northern will look at it because they have gone so much. They will. There is always understand from the Northern and the Southeastern. It is all about agreement. You cannot achieve it by force.
You know that this is super workable.
It's very, very workable. You will see it.
Honorable, let me stay with Honorable Afam. Peter Obi, as you look towards 2027, Peter Obi, the conversation of Peter Obi and whether or not he can win an election is in question. And the reason that's in question is because of the political permutations ongoing and the conversations around coalition. I've spoken with a couple of members of the House of your party on whether or not the option of a vice presidential candidate is open to Mr. Peter Obi. And I say this because you've said since 1999, the Southeast hasn't gotten a presidential or vice presidential option. Is that option open, or must he be the president?
First, Mr. Peter Obi did not run elections as a Southeastern candidate. It just happens to come from the Southeast. And if I were to pose the question, even though it's your set, today, who is the #1 opposition figure? It's Mr. P2B. There is no conversation, be it on the coalition side, be it even in the ruling APC. Mr. P2B is the person that everybody is talking about. And that is why I told you we are removing the discussion from the Southeast to a better Nigeria. And in 2027, it will be the APC against the Nigerian people, spearheaded by Mr. P2B.
Honorable Oga.
Thank God he still revised. Now you have already said P2B is not from Southeast.
I didn't
no,
say
he didn't
so.
say that.
I say it's not
he
a
said
Southeastern candidate.
Exactly.
And I want to tell you,
he's running as a Nigerian candidate.
A Nigerian. And what we are saying, there is no anyhow that already serving president from South and we have another candidate from Southeast, it will not work. That we have politics about trade. We have to trade.
Let me ask you a question. Honorable
Yes,
Oga.
go ahead.
In 2031, as you say, would you still be having party conversations, political party conversations, or would you be focused more on the regional conversation with regard to ensuring that wherever the candidate is from, whatever party, as long as the person is from Southeast should get
Like,
a chance?
for example, in my party now, we are doing constitutional review. My party, all like the way my party goes, if the president is from North, the national chairman will come from South. Do you understand me? We always do things according to the way it will balance and get to the region.
Does this review point to the fact
Definitely.
that by 2031,
Yeah,
it
definitely.
will say that
it will. And that is why I told you.
it will be zoned to the Southeast?
No, I cannot stand now to say. I say we are going to appeal.
No, I mean, if you
let
don't...
it
one
be
second,
a zone
one
to
second.
Southeast.
You know how politics works. If this is not a negotiation, the Southeast cannot present a front on that. If it is not going to be zoned to the Southeast, you cannot present
It's not
a front on
something
that.
where I can stand here to say
I'm
it
saying
will be
is-
zoned.
I'm
Rather,
not
we are
saying-
appealing to the Northerners
I'm saying,
and the
is that
Southwest
something
that the
that you would
president in
support?
2031 should be zoned to Southeast. We should allow President Bola Tinubu to finish his 8 years.
Why didn't you
and we
appeal to
appeal
them?
the Northerners to allow Southeastern to smell the seat of the president of this country. That is the only way things will balance. Okay. It's not something someone can just wake up in his bedroom that he's contesting president. No.
Okay, so as we wrap up this conversation, I'd like to get closing statements on Southeast and the next 2 years of this administration. Now, what do you expect? Because, frankly speaking, politics is taking over, and the concerns about governance taking backseat are becoming rife. What do you expect for the people of the Southeast at the federal and state levels as we go into the last lap of this, next 2 years?
Well, as you can see, there is little of governance going on everywhere in the country and more of politicking. If you crisscross Abuja roads and even outside Abuja, you are confronted with billboards for 2027. So for the Southeasterners, part of whom I represent, I think that what they desire is a Nigeria that works for everybody. The Southeast is not asking for tokenism. They want a level playing field any part of the country that they go to. And that is something that I know can be guaranteed by Mr. Peter Obi. A new Nigeria is possible.
Honorable Oga.
Yes, thank you. In the aspect of the what the Southeast have achieved and what they intend to gain, in the aspect of infrastructure, both education and other things, the present administration is doing perfectly well. But we look more things to be done in the Southeast to bring our people together, to make sure they're seeing the light by bringing the infrastructure, by making sure so many of those social amenities, all the federal role in the Southeast should be put in place. And make sure there is uninterrupted power. If Mr. President will look that, the economy of this country will boom. And my brother said, is Bola Ahmed Tinubu represent Nigeria, the renew hope? We should support him for 2027.
Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Afamogene from Anambra State. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Duoga. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you in Parliament.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that's all the time we have on the Political Paradigm today. Thanks for your time. If you'd like to catch this episode and more, please go to YouTube and search Political Paradigm or go to channelstv.com. I'm Terry Kumi. Goodbye.